Delanco Township Committee Meeting of November 20th, 2023, beginning at 7 p.m. at the Delanco Township Municipal Building, 770 Coopertown Road, Delanco, New Jersey.
Recording. Thank you, Janice. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the November 20, 2023 Township Committee meeting to order. Could I have a roll call, please, Janice?
Mr. Bartlett.
Here.
Mr. Olet is absent. Ms. Seuss.
Here.
Mr. Templeton.
Here.
Mrs. Patrick.
Here. Also present, Mr. Schwab, our Township Administrator, Mr. Heinhold, our Township Solicitor, Mrs. Lohr, our Municipal Clerk, Mr. Tilder, our Police Chief, and Ms. McFadden, our Administrative Assistant. So please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Janice, would you please read the Sunshine Statement?
And please be advised that proper notice of this meeting has been given in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act in the following manner. Written notice has been mailed to the Burlington County Times and Courier Post and published in the January 4th, 2023 editions. Excuse me. Written notice has been posted on the official bulletin board of the Township of Delanco at least 48 hours prior to the meeting.
Thank you, Janice. Okay, so the meeting is open to the public right now, session 1 for comments and questions. State your name and address for the record, Ray.
Ray Weber, 22 Ships. Couple of things. We had the tree guys come in from the township hired. They destroyed a mailbox called McKay today. We got on Friday. Something fell down and broke the tree. When they told the gentleman to come in, the township was complaining about it. Also, they never did any trees on Pennington, the lower end of Ships, 3 lots. And they left branches all over Emory on the sidewalks and stuff that they cut. Never took them off.
Okay,
They haven't been back today. They weren't back today.
Okay. I'll talk to John and have him call the contractor.
Yeah.
And also the gentleman, the property owner with the mailbox did call and was advised to, send in something in writing. And if it is significant damage, they'd have to file a tort claim. And get the
Okay.
claim forms from Aaron Provenzano.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was.
Yes, it has been addressed.
Okay, good. Second, the other thing is, the trees on between 15 and 17 Pennington and 18 and 20 Pennington. The trees were lifting up the street. The roots were lifting up the street in those areas. The tree roots.
Are they property owners, or is that area that...
That's the township trees.
Okay, I just wondered, that's not that area that you have all that wooded area?
No, it's just the township trees.
So, but there's a resident there.
There's a residence between 15 and no residence of 17. In the street, right opposite where that tree is located, the tree roots are lifting up the street.
Right, I saw that at 24 Emory too. So they would have to apply to the Shade Tree Commission. As far as I know, right, Richard?
Well, we're talking about the damage to the asphalt street, not the damage to the sidewalk.
This is damage to the asphalt street.
Street.
Is
So we'll
the
have to talk to
sidewalk
John and
also
Harry about it.
damaged? Because it's very rare that just the street's damaged. Is the sidewalk also
The
damaged?
sidewalk is slightly lifted,
Oh, okay.
but the street, you're talking 6 to 8 inches up. From
Oh,
those
wow.
roots.
So I guess we need to apply to the Shade Tree then. So how does that work? Is that
I'll
the
have-
mayor's
I'll
honor?
have to have
or-
John go take a, John and Harry will take a look at it, and we'll get
Okay,
back.
all right.
Okay?
What, give me those addresses again, Ray?
Yeah,
14?
15 and 17 Pennington. Between there, there's a tree
Pennington,
right in that
okay.
area. It's lifting up the street and it's running down in front of 15 driveway too. And 18 and 20 Pennington. That's on the other side, across the street, which, and it happens to be right next to a storm sewer.
Right, 18 and 20, 15 and 17. Did you say 14? I wrote 14.
15.
Okay, all right,
15, 17, 18, and 20.
okay.
I've noticed it, I keep forgetting to tell you.
So we'll have John take a look at that.
Yeah.
Contact John, fastest
Okay.
way.
All right, good.
Okay?
Okay,
Yeah. The feasibility study or the, on the county pathway between 47, 49?
right. I did reach out to the county as I reached out to the HOA for contributing funds, and the HOA, of course, agreed not to. And Mary Pat's answer was that she didn't believe the county would contribute. So I emailed her back to say, so could you clarify that? Should we appeal to the commissioners, to the County Board of Commissioners? Are you saying the county is not going to contribute? So I'm waiting to get that clarification. I didn't get it. I thought I'd get it today, but I didn't get the email from her. So once we have that, because I understand the HOA is going to appeal to the county commissioners, that I'd like to know for sure what their answer is, because I think I would be right with you to appeal. Because they're spending millions of dollars on these trails and a few $1,000s to fix that. I don't understand it, you know. In the beginning, there were other amenities that were going to be put on that property, and the HOA at that time decided not to because they didn't want the public coming through their development. But as I understand it now, the public comes through anyway, so, well, I'm just waiting for her reply. But right now, we have no contributing, so I'm not even presenting it to the township until I find out, because it's $3,000 just for the plan, for him to put together the plan, so it's going to cost, his fee is $3,000. That doesn't, you know, so we don't know what the plan's going to cost. So, and I can't ask the township committee to agree to $3,000 without at least reaching out.
I understand. Yeah, we're just trying to make sure.
Yes, listen, I'm trying to move it forward to see which way we should go.
Because we're also looking at going to county commissioners as well as our representatives, as well as Andy Kent. Because Andy was a big component, a big person pushing that whole trail, and he was involved in it when they did the ceremonies.
Right.
Opening it up.
Yes,
So we're looking at all that.
Good.
And we'll wait to hear back from, but
yeah, I just want her to clarify her statement to me. I don't want to misread it.
I understand. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll just,
Okay,
we'll work together.
yes, definitely.
Thank you.
You're welcome, right. Anyone else?
All right, my name is Kayla Lugo, I'm at 310 Walter Ave. I'm making a statement in support of the installation of the lights at Field of Dreams. I come to you as a mother of two daughters in Delanco who are on the autism spectrum, and they suffer and struggle socially a lot. As we know, our schools don't offer much when it comes to things for our kids to do outside school hours that could help build their social skills. But that's a discussion for another time. My daughter both played Delaware sports since we moved here in 2021, and they have come such a long way socially thanks to their meeting coaches, Greg, John, Eric, and that's just to name a few of them. The caring, compassion, all of the coaches show these kids are going to change. I think adding the lights would expand the access to sports or any other events or programs that could be utilized at Field of Dreams. Investing in our youth is never a waste, and I know it's not the township's responsibility to pick up the slack from our school district. However, it's all that our kids have, and honestly, the kids of this town deserve the very best. Building healthy relationships within our community is vital to the success of our children and could be life-changing.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'll close this portion of the meeting to the public, and we'll start with comments and reports. Doug?
The only thing I want to mention is on the agenda later under consent is an introduction of an ordinance that would address a number of our properties that we've acquired, the township has acquired, that we want to ensure remain as open space lots. Between this meeting and the next meeting, when this is up for public hearing, I will recirculate a sample of what that restriction language is. I know you all deal with property issues in various aspects, so if you have any feedback, there's no offense taken if you have any comments on it, and just want to make sure we have those ready to go once that, assuming it's adopted, that we can go ahead and file those before the end of the year. And that's all I have at this time.
Good. Thank you, Doug. Richard?
Yeah, I have 2 items. Let's see if I can read my own writing here. One is, we've got, hopefully everyone will have their 2024 budget proposals in this week. We have most of them. The other thing is that if you remember last meeting, Harry talked about the Hickory street pipe and root cutting. And so at the last minute, I got the proposals. They have proposals with the low quote of $3,500 from Pioneer to do some work on a couple of manholes that is needed to access, and mobile dredging and video pipe, $4,200 a day. We're anticipating 2.5 days, which is $10,500. What I'd like to do is ask a motion to authorize me to issue purchase orders for up to $17,500 to get this work done between these vendors. We don't know exactly how many days we're anticipating. It could be as little as the 10.5. It always ends up being a little bit more.
We have the available funds?
Absolutely, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's no objections, a motion to authorize the low bidders for this work up to $17,500.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that. It has to get done.
Roll call, please. Or do-
Well, because this far, I couldn't hear this far down.
Oh, okay. Carolyn made the motion to approve,
Up to 17.5 for what project?
right, for the
Hickory
Hickory Street root cutting,
root cutting.
Oh,
And the
Rick
storm
is-
sewers.
okay.
Yeah,
root cutting and storm sewers.
Okay.
that should help the flooding issue.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the whole
So
point,
did you
right?
second that, Matt?
I did.
Okay.
He did.
You can do all in favor, you didn't.
All in favor,
All in
fine.
favor? Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Other things I have are either on the consent agenda and discussion.
okay. Adam? Chief?
Good evening, thank you. Last Wednesday, I presented the police budget to Mr. Schwab. It's a work in progress, but I think it was a good first meeting. Our officers participated in the food bank of South Jersey's collection of food. All the food was picked up today by the food bank of South Jersey, and it was just a successful event. The beginning of September, we're going to begin applicant interviews for one full-time position. There's an academy spot reserved for February of next year at the Dawson County Police Academy. On the 13th of December, we have our end of year departmental meeting. This past week, the mayor and I met with representatives from TSC&G regarding the intersection at Cooper County Creek Road for the lighting, and it was a good meeting. We're going to hopefully move forward. There's the current arm that has the light on it's going to be replaced and extended to a 15-foot arm, and an LED light will be placed on that arm, which will light up that entire intersection according to the graph. He also communicated to us about replacing bulbs at Newton's Landing Boulevard and Creek Road, which will also brighten up that intersection and hopefully resolve any issues with the traffic going down the wrong way.
Yeah, that's good. Good
I
meeting.
also met this afternoon with the owner of Powerhouse Equipment. They had some inquiries about parking. They're looking to add head-on parking or angle parking in front of their building there. When I went out there, I took the measurements, we went through this once before. There's just not adequate enough room for them to do it. It extends into the lane of travel on Old Creek Road. So we've opened up lines of communication, and we're looking into different things that we can try to help them with. Some of it may be more so on their part in the county, but we are trying to help them out and assist to meet their needs. That's all I have for this.
If I can follow up on the streetlight issue, it would cost us about $16 more per year in order to implement the two things, 1550 more for the Creek Road piece, and another $1.50 for the nicer, better lights for at Fleming Boulevard.
Right.
So, does anyone have any problem with me signing to move those two projects along?
No, it's definitely needed.
Okay, just want to make sure there's no problem. The dollar amount doesn't require your authorization, but I always like to make sure that you're aware of these things.
Yeah.
Okay,
great.
I'll donate my cup of Starbucks coffee today for that.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, that was,
All right,
it was
so
a good meeting and
I
it
will
was
sign those
worthwhile.
tomorrow and get that rolling.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Janice?
Nothing at this time, just correspondence later. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Township Committee, Mike?
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
Okay, Carolyn?
I attended the joint land use board meeting. There was no applications. We did adopt the resolution for Kane warehousing. That is going to be in the old Melrose Misfits building. They are a dairy distributor, and that was approved and adopted. I attended the Dyson meeting. Soccer is now over, and we have our elections at the end of the month for the new board for 2024.
Tuesday night, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a statement from the Dyson president I will read when we talk about the lights under discussion.
Okay, good. Matt?
I'll make up for Mike's short report on Fern's not being here with my report. So, since we gave
Go for it.
our last report, I attended the fire company meeting on October 23rd and the fire commission meeting on the 24th, normal orders of business. I attended the Board of Ed meeting on October 18th, as well as the work session on November 8th. The biggest takeaway from the October 18th meeting was a mention of possibly consolidating the Walnut Street School students into the Pearson School and disposing or otherwise reallocating the Walnut Street School for other uses, and they're going to be doing an internal study to see if it's feasible and what the savings would be, and more discussion will be forthcoming in coming months. The people present in the audience that evening, they thought it was a good idea if it could work out, and I think it could be a good idea as well. We are a small K-8 district, so if there's room to do so, it should be explored. Other K-8 districts of a similar student population do use one school, such as Beverly, East Hampton, Haines-Point, Riverton, just to name a few that I looked into. I did not attend the Board of Ed meeting last Wednesday as I was down in AC for the League of Municipalities Conference, but the takeaways from the meeting from others present were that the school consolidation is still being studied and they're going to come up with a proposal after doing some research, and they're nowhere near any proposal or decision right now. It's just an idea on paper. They also voted to hire a curriculum consultant to revamp the curriculum so it aligns with the state standards. They applied for a pre-K grant to expand the program, and they hired an interim business administrator as Dan Rath is leaving, I believe it's this month. Is that right, Mike? Okay. So lots of good things are happening that the school community is excited for. I've been doing some more research on the Hawk Island ownership and just got some old maps from the state archives and deeds that I'll be reviewing. I attended the trunk or treat and movie night on October 28th, and Rec did an awesome job putting that together. It was a great turnout. It was nice to see our event lawn in use. I attended the OEM meeting, the Township OEM meeting on October 30th, and we reviewed the current status of all the things going on in the OEM world. And if anyone who's going to be attending, the meeting is the 5th Monday of the month on the Mondays that have, the months that have 5 Mondays in them, so once a quarter for anyone keeping tally. And finally, last week I did attend the League of Municipalities Conference, as mentioned, in Atlantic City on Tuesday and Wednesday, as did Janice, Aaron, and Fern. I attended some very interesting sessions, including the state plan update, what's in it for your municipality, improving community health with the mayor's wellness campaign, ask us anything about municipal cannabis, emerging issues in municipal use of social media, and an update session from the Division of Fire Safety. I'll be going through my notes this week, and I'll put together any pertinent bullet points for the entire township committee. But one takeaway I wanted to share tonight was from the state plan update session. If you recall, 1 year ago tomorrow, actually, we voted unanimously to not be a part of the whole plan implementation agreement, which would have put a tremendous unfunded costs on our township and its residents, and the state basically ignored everything we discussed in the public visioning sessions. And although I don't have a count, we were one of the few municipalities throughout the state that voted not to be a part of that. However, based on the discussion and feedback during that session at the League of Municipalities conference, and Fern could attest if he was here, a substantial amount of the people present made it clear they were not happy with the process. And to loosely quote another councilman from another municipality in northern Jersey, the state makes everyone go through this, then puts the plan on the shelf and does nothing for 25 years. A lot of people present had very similar feelings to this, along with the concerns of the costs, just like we did. However, unlike most municipalities, we did the right thing and we just didn't blindly follow what the state was saying like some sheep.
Good.
That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you. I have some items that I'd like to mention. The library had a program on native plantings in your backyard and how to attract butterflies and bees. And I was unable to attend that particular program, but Katrina, who is here tonight, was nice enough to gather the handouts for me. They also had a vendor event, which was well attended and a great time to start shopping for the holidays. So I did attend that event. The History Board, I did mention last week about the Salute to Veterans, which was well attended, and I think everyone there certainly enjoyed the several veterans in the audience who shared their stories. As the chief said, I did meet with him and Walt Ruff, it was Ruff, right, from Riverside, regarding the lighting, and I got a good workout that day because we walked the whole thing back to Newton's Landing and down here. And it will definitely make an improvement. The county has already moved the stop sign back 40 feet, and the county is also going to be restriping the arrows in that area. They have a new plan they're redoing, and they sent it to me by email. So that area should be much safer and easier to maneuver. The seniors met on November 14th at Dobbins. I waited for a while. The speaker hadn't shown up for some time, so, but it was well attended. I don't know if the speaker ever did show up for that. But they are having a holiday celebration at Fratelli's on December 12th. The Sewer Authority met on November 14th via Zoom. Dolan, they're now on a maintenance bond. There's nothing new to report. Stylex, there's a pre-draft of their permit that was issued by DEP for their SIU. It gives Stylex an option to review this permit to make sure it's exactly what they need. And an SIU is, it was funny, Manser asked, significant individual user. So there is some waste that they're going to have to go through a system with before it actually is disposed into our system, and that's why DEP is involved in that. The trunk line project, dates are set with DEP for 11/21 and 11/28, and with the contractor for a pre-construction meeting. So that trunk line project will be starting soon. We're still waiting for the heating system to be converted to gas at the garage for the jet vac. The audit was complete and had no recommendations or comments, and the operator's report is on file. Recreation, as Matt said, the trunk retreat and movie night was a great success and well attended. The Dune celebration at West Avenue this year was a scavenger hunt with a visit from Woodford Cedar Run. The children enjoyed the crafts, and there was a huge blow up for them. They had a great time. Our tree lighting and Christmas Village will be held at Gateway Park this year on December 2nd. Delanco residents and businesses can apply to attend the vendor section of the event, and we will also be distributing the gingerbread house kits to the families who have pre-registered. And it looks like Santa Claus will definitely pay a visit to the families in Delanco that night. So the carriage rides are scheduled for December 9th. Tickets are on sale at Brown's Jewelers. And I want to thank everyone who supported the 5K run walk sponsored by the Women's Club. It was a successful event and a beautiful day, and it was enjoyed by everybody. The course will be recertified on hopefully December 10th if the weather permits. I sent you an email about that because, yeah, and I probably didn't get it yet. I hadn't by the time I'd left. But I was going to drive behind them. You'll have somebody, okay, good.
Are they walking, are they on foot?
He's probably going to be on foot. I've never done the recertification, and I really don't know what he does, but he does it early, so there's not a lot of traffic, and I know he's going to do flickering lights or something. I have, you know, I know it's costing a lot of money. It's like $590 some just to have it. Yeah, I'll just confirm the date and time with you, and then I will, okay.
You'll be running right behind him.
I'll be running right behind him, yeah, with my cane in hand. He wanted somebody to drive behind him. I said, well, I could do that. I can't walk with you.
One more thing, one of the things you said, reminded me of one other thing I forgot to put in my report besides attending the balloons and the run. I also attended the shade tree planting behind the Walnut Street School and the shade tree volunteers, and as well as Superintendent Dr. Fitz came out,
yeah.
And you know, I'll give it to him. Man's 83 years old, 84 years old. He's out there digging and putting trees in.
Yeah,
God bless the man.
that was great. I was invited. Bill Madlevitz made a special invitation to me to come out, and I said, no, I couldn't do it this year. I planted many trees in Delanco. I couldn't do it this year. It was kind of a joke, I think. Okay, so let's move on to review of proposed resolutions for determination of rehabilitation designations and referral to the Delanco Planning Joint Land Use Board in accordance with NJSA 40A:12A-14. So we have proposed resolution. The first one's determining that the lands and premises at 401 Creek Road, 450 Creek Road, and 500 Creek Road constitute an area in need of rehabilitation. And the other proposed resolution is determining that the lands and premises at 720 Coopertown Road, 730, and 740 Coopertown Road constitute an area in need of rehabilitation. And Doug, if you would like to give a little explanation about what that involves and...
Sure. So, earlier this year, the municipality adopted a new zoning amendment to create the I-3 zone, which restricted against warehouse use. The municipality was sued by a couple of property owners. And rather than just run headlong into litigation, we invited them to come sit down with us and figure out what our differences were and what our commonalities were, and whether we could meet some understanding as to a shared vision for their properties in this town, that we could proceed in a more amicable way than litigation would cause. So while we're not out of litigation yet, this is done in pursuant to communications with and direct contact with those property owners. The first is criterion with respect to the properties on Creek Road, and the second is a company called Farrowpoint, which actually now owns the Stylex building on Coopertown Road. In order to reach a resolution that does not include warehouse construction on those properties, would not present any changes, in fact, to the Farrowpoint/Stylex building, we are doing a rehabilitation designation process to implement the framework that would be needed to enter into a settlement agreement with those property owners. By doing so, we'll be able to avoid the cost of litigation, avoid the uncertainty of litigation, avoid the potential that the I-3 zone would be found invalid. If that happens, it's invalid as to the entire zoning, not just to the property owners who complained of it. So This is the first step in that process. I do also want to just emphasize that a rehabilitation designation is sometimes equated to redevelopment. It does fall under the redevelopment law, but it is not redevelopment. A redevelopment designation, there are a couple types of redevelopment designations, but one of the potentials under that process is the use of eminent domain. The municipality does not have that authority under rehabilitation designation. The municipality also does not have the authority under rehabilitation designation to offer a long-term pilot exemption to anybody. So it is redevelopment light, and it is not the type of redevelopment where the township has the same substantial tools, particularly tools that may be used adverse to a property owner's own interests. If somebody has a rehab designation on their property and they don't want to engage in the rehab process or communicate with the town as to what they would like to see specifically on their property, that the town could engage with them, they are under no obligation to do so. So these, in my view, are only a benefit to a property owner and offer the flexibility that we need to resolve our differences in this litigation. With that, unless there's any questions, I think that's the very basics of it. The process is a little unique. It's not an ordinance, but it almost kind of acts like an ordinance. So it's not redevelopment, but it's rehab, but it's not an ordinance, it's a resolution. But we have to mention it here, refer it to the board, so you have to make a motion and second, and all in favor is sufficient. Refer it to the board, or you can do a roll call if you want. And then the board will hear this on December 5th, offer any feedback or input that they will have. Our planner, Scott Taylor, will be at that meeting to talk to them about the criteria and the process. And then it comes back to us for consideration on our December 18th meeting.
Good.
Okay?
Okay, so is there a motion to approve these two proposed resolutions to be sent to the Joint Land Use Board for their comments?
I would make that motion to approve.
Okay, second?
I'll make the motion, or second.
Okay, Matt, second. And Janice, would you do a roll call on this?
You would like a roll call?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Bartlett?
Yes.
Ms. Seuss?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis, absent. Mr. Templeton?
I have reservations about this, but to move the process along, we'll agree with a yes vote.
And Mrs. Patrick?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, consent agenda items. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with a single motion. Any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Now, is there anything here that anyone wanted to be separate? Okay. Ordinance 2023-17, authorizing imposition and filing of deed restrictions on township-owned properties for purposes of open space preservation. This is the first reading by title only, and we've set the public hearing date for December 18th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Ordinance 2023-18, an ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the Township of Delanco Providing for and Determining the Rate of Compensation of Officers and Employees. This is the first reading by title only, and they set the public hearing date for December 18th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Resolution 2023-129, authorizing amendment to employment contract with the Delanco Public Works Bargaining Unit, represented by the Communication Workers of America, AFL-CIO, CWA. Resolution 2023-130, approving 2023 budget transfers. Resolution 2023-131, a resolution to affirm the Township of Delanco's civil rights policy with respect to all officials, appointees, employees, prospective employees, volunteers, independent contractors, and members of the public that come into contact with municipal employees, officials, and volunteers. Payment of bills. Current fund, $122,110.53. Payroll, $45,411.75. Capital fund, $1,274.74. And public defender fund, $350. Approval of department reports. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Carolyn and Mike. Roll call, please, Janice?
Mr. Bartlett?
Yes.
Ms. Seuss? Yes. Mr. Templeton?
Yes.
Mrs. Becker?
Yes. Correspondence, Janice.
Yes, the only thing I have is that we did receive a letter from the Department of Environmental Protection, Watershed and Land Management regarding their required flood damage prevention ordinance that we are required to adopt a new flood management ordinance, and they are saying, yes, Delanco, it's your turn, and has given us some deadlines to meet for that ordinance. So it has been referred to the engineer and to our solicitor, Doug Heinhold, and Richard. So that is the only correspondence that I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Janice.
The only thing on here is that I'd like to ask if Committeeman Templeton be allowed to, he and I put that last one together, and if he and I be allowed to be the contact people along with Mike Luneman, who's our construction official, to work with DNP on this. So,
Sure.
consent,
That's fine.
okay?
Yep.
All
That's
right,
fine.
Mike, I can talk to you about it? Thank you.
You're voluntold.
I just volunteered you.
Okay.
You didn't know it, but I just volunteered you. I
Yeah.
can't do it alone.
The letter does say within 10 days of receiving this letter, so we are on a timeline for this. Please forward the name and contact information for a designated contact person, which, Mr. Templeton, you have volunteered to be that?
Do I have to get sworn in?
No,
No.
You're already
you're doing it
sworn
under my
in.
authority, Mike.
Right? And that there is a information schedule, a session scheduled for December 5th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
Right.
So Mr. Templeton will be the designated contact person for this ordinance?
Yes.
Okay. I will let them know that.
Congrats, Mike.
Godspeed.
Yes. Good luck. Okay. So the meeting is open to the public for comments and questions. This is session 2.
Anybody have
Okay.
anything to say?
Anybody want to add anything? Okay. All right. I'll close this portion of the meeting to the public and the discussion items. Number 1, 2023 Best Practices Inventory Review and Discussion. I guess that's you, Richard.
Yeah, I sent you out a detailed memo for the record every year for the last, 8 years. So the state comes up with a questionnaire that purports to list the things that are important for all municipalities in the state to be able to do, and they call it best practices. They, if you don't say yes or prospective or not applicable to a certain number, they reduce the amount of state aid that you get. Delanco has not had a problem in that area, and of course we don't again. There's 48 questions, up to 42 points. We scored 38 out of the 42. There's only 5 no answers. You have to have 29 points to not lose any funding, so of course we're well above that. And the only thing is that they require that we tell them when we're going to discuss this questionnaire in public with the governing body, and that's what this session is. Point out that the only no answers that we had, one deals with whether we established a storm recovery reserve, and that's something that we haven't needed in this particular case. That came out of when we had the major storms in 2010, so on, saying, well, gee, if in some year you don't need the money that you budgeted, for example, for snow removal, instead of closing out the balance into surplus, you put it into a fund and that accumulates. And 1 year when you have more costs than you have budgeted, you have a place to go. Well, because we have the ability to transfer from other accounts, and because, thank goodness, John Fenimore's made sure we haven't had any snow like that again, we really don't need to set that up and take those funds and put them away. That's my recommendation. Very few municipalities have done this, but they keep putting it in there. They want to know if we're going to have public electric charging stations on municipal property. Not something we've had any discussion on, or there seems to be demand, so the answer is no. If you wish to discuss that, that's something to work on in the future. And then the other two no's have to do with the filing of our labor contracts. We just approved the amended police one last week and the amended public works one this week. But the requirement is not just to file them, which is a simple thing to do, but they require a detailed analysis under their terms of the costs, and that's a major thing, and that's my responsibility. I didn't get that done this year, so we have to answer no, and I will try to work on this so we have it caught up for next year. The other things on there, something that Doug will get involved with, the state changed laws dealing with ethics boards and pay-to-play rules, where we have to change our code to comply with the state code. So no, we don't have a particular local ethics board, and we have to change our ordinance dealing with pay-to-play rules. They also have a bunch of unscored survey questions they ask all the time, and this all deals with electric vehicle purchasing policies, ethics board, solid waste collections, shared services, special improvement districts that we don't have, and the state mandated lead inspection program. So I gave you all that information. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay.
No, but thank you for doing
Okay.
it. It's a very difficult job.
So you now have that. For the record, we've completed that, and we do the best practices we can possibly do.
Great. Thank you, Richard. The next item for discussion is proposed resolution 2023-132, a resolution authorizing and endorsing an application to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs for FY 2024 Creek Road Field Improvements Grant. And for many of you here, I think you may be aware of this, that Senator Singleton had sent out an email, and Richard forwarded it to the Township Committee. It was like a wish list item that we had 2 days to reply to, and we listed several items. Gazebo at the Riverfront Park, lights at the Field of Dreams. I can't remember all of them. Matt, do you have that letter up?
Street sweeper,
Yeah.
public works,
So,
fueling system, pole barn.
Yeah.
Whatever we had any discussion about was
It
threw in
was-
the letter as much as I could.
so we did. We put about 6 or 7 items on there, and Richard was very thorough in explaining to him that we really hadn't done a lot of research on these because it was just a last-minute thing that he asked us to do. So we did get a grant for $250,000, and the senator, actually, when he came to present the big check, he was glad that he picked the Field of Dreams because his daughter played soccer on the Field of Dreams, and lighting is an essential part for them having night games. And the portable lights that they use for practice, they can't actually play with them. There's some defect there. I don't know that Matt may be able to address that issue. But I know that they can't play on the regular field. There's some provision that limits that. They can't have actual games. They do just practice. So we're looking to sign the application for this grant for $250,000. We did receive one estimate for $230,000 to $250,000 for the lighting project. It would be on the second field. I have reached out to our engineer for costs, any estimated cost that he would have regarding the electric, the hookup, but I've also talked to Recreation about it, and Rec feels that they would most likely take on the responsibility for the electric, and you actually field that to the people that are, the different activities that are being used at the field. So in other words, DISA, Del Riv, Del Side, whatever, their fees would have to be increased in order for us to maintain the lighting. So that's how we're moving forward with this. As far as knowing everything about lighting a field, we don't have all the answers. And I don't know that we have all the answers on any other grants that we received for the Field of Dreams with regard to the connections for the new pump, for the sprinkler systems. There have been so many different issues that come up that once you start moving this process along, you'll deal with the issues as they come up. But REC has agreed to take on the responsibility. As far as if the equipment breaks, I'm sure there's got to be some period of time where they would be under guarantee or warranty or something. So I don't think we need to worry about that initially. These were some of the things that were pointed to me, that do we know what we're doing here? And we do know what we're doing. We have started these fields, I can't tell you how many years ago. 3 different times I brought it up about getting the very first loan from Green Acres to start the fields. And since then, we've got municipal grants that have helped us with everything along the way. And we've been very fortunate to have those fields available to our children and the children in the surrounding areas. Lighting is essential for them to be able to play at night, and I think it's a good thing, and the senator thought it was a good thing, and that's why he picked this project out of the list that we gave him. So that's my input. If anyone else on the township, Carolyn, if you have anything to add, that
Sure.
you might have
So-
some additional information.
It's my understanding that there are specific light guidelines that you have to abide by in the soccer federation. So there's safety concerns there, so you don't have the dark spots, which they have now with the lights. They just don't have the correct coverage. So there are actually coverage standards that are govern these fields. So these lights would actually, the lights that we're proposing would actually cover that, and they would be compliant, so they could have games there at night as opposed to renting the different units. I do have that correspondence, if you'd like me to read it from.
Oh, yeah, from Sam.
From
Yeah.
Sam James, who
Yes.
is the president of DISA, aka Del Riv. Good evening, my name is Samuel James, and I reside at 321 Magnolia Lane. As many of you know, I'm a parent of 10 children, as well as serving as the president of the Del Riv Delanco Youth Sports Association. Ever since the ribbon cutting ceremony at Field of Dreams, it has been the hope of our program to see the field lights installed. While I don't have the exact figure in front of me, I would estimate that our program has spent between $25,000 and $50,000 over the past few years on rental light trucks, which were needed to light the fields for practices as well as very few night games. I would urge the Township Committee to vote to approve the plan to install the permanent lighting at Field of Dreams, not only to benefit the youth sports program here in town, but also because it would have the potential to bring an added revenue stream to the township via field rental fees. If anyone has ever driven past the West Hampton Sports Complex on Beverly Rancocas Road, I'm sure you have noticed that the fields are usually occupied every night, and a significant number of those nights are being occupied by outside groups. A yes vote for lights would help to further ensure the future for our youth soccer as well as potential sports here in Delanco. Thank you for your service to our community. Respectfully, Sam James. I can tell you, as the treasurer, this past year, it cost us $11,000 for the light towers, which was significantly more than previous years. The average was about 7 or 8, so it's getting increasingly more expensive, which to a small youth soccer program is a huge number, and they do a lot of fundraising to account for that. So they would have obviously no problem to contribute towards the cost of the lighting. And I believe when I spoke to Harry about it initially, he had estimated it would cost about $10 a day in electric to have those running at night. So they are energy efficient LED lights as opposed to the lights that were more expensive to run.
Good, thank you. Matt?
Yeah, when I did the books for Del Riv before Seuss took over, try talking into the microphone. When I was the treasurer for Del Riv before Carolyn took over, we were spending, close to $8,000 a year, and it did go substantially up. We moved originally from Sunbelt Rentals in Maple Shade, then we got Diamond Tools over here in Edgewater to give us a deal, then they changed ownership, and then they weren't willing to be as accommodating anymore, and then, as Carolyn mentioned, they went somewhere else this year. I have no idea who, but obviously the cost went up.
United Rentals.
United. And then we also had, when I originally wrote up the blurb to submit to the senator, we had put in there, and it's a valid concern, there's anywhere 10 to 12 of those generator light towers out on those fields for the practices, and just the emissions from them, the noise, the diesel emissions, the noise pollution. You know, if you're sitting anywhere near them out there, you can't hear the person sitting next to you. You know, they're all over out there, and frankly, I hate seeing them out there because it makes the field look junky. It really does. And you know, to get a permanent structure out there, like Sam mentioned, the one in West Hampton, that's a beautiful field, and you know, it's not encumbered by these portable generators everywhere. And I never even thought of that. The whole comment of, you know what, we could bring additional revenue in by having other games there. That's a good idea. It really is.
Good. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I got a few things to say. As we've all heard tonight, this has kind of been the sum total of 99% of all we've ever heard about field lights to the committee tonight. So you know exactly the same information that the rest of us have heard. We've never discussed this. There's been probably 30 seconds of discussion at the budget hearing back in February. It was a one-line comment from Mr. Lett questioning a cost. There's still, this isn't the way we normally do things. When we buy something, we research it, we find a need, we find, analyze the utilization. We're kind of going into this backwards. I mean, if that's what the community and what the taxpayers want, great. But let's go in it, eyes open, with as much information as we can gather before we start authorizing things and sending a check off. The correspondence from Senator Singleton's office back in February asked for a couple items of interest that the community has. And somehow the field lights got added to this. We've got 12 items on our capital budget, not a wish list, but something that we're working towards. Mr. Fenimore in Public Works has been waiting for a pole barn to put a couple $100,000 of Public Works equipment in a shelter. He's been waiting for that for some time. But anyway, we've got 12 items, acoustic attenuation for this room, upgrades to the police side of the house, a whole range of things. Somehow this moved to the top of the list through the process that's been outlined. It came through that it was picked through, there's been some misinformation on the state budget. It's listed as Creek Road field improvements, period. That's it. But, just some things on, it's $250,000 to start. Somehow in our capital budget, the 13th item was added in of $800,000 for field lighting. I don't know who amongst my colleagues here had Mr. Schwab add $800,000 for field lighting. But if you go through a calculation similar to what Rick had gone through to calculate field use fees, you come out with something like $250 to $800 an hour to flip the switch, to pay for that over a 10-year period. Now, I'd like to know what I'm getting, and I'd like to know if the taxpayers of this town want to pay for that. And so we're here at this point of a timing situation that's kind of been created by this situation, where we're kind of backed into a corner. There's a deadline to submit this application. this is all we've got from the vendor for these things. And reading this, it's going through it again. Installation of lighting equipment by a licensed contractor. I think it's just, we get an erector set that gets dropped off, and then we've got to find somebody to put it together. There's just too much that we don't know. As I said, if this is something the community wants, great, do it. But let's not be stupid. We've gone through a similar situation with irrigation out in the field. Endless repairs, endless changes. We had to sink a new well to provide water. On and on and on. And it's just, this is where you did an analysis of what the cost was sometime a couple months ago on what's going into the Field of Dreams. But
I did.
I think you did. Maybe not. Disregard. But anyway, it seems like every week, every time there's a brown leaf of grass out there, it's an emergency that we got to get water out there and another contractor to do that. And I'd rather not us go through that process again where dealing with a contractor, whatever this is telling us or not telling us, that we know what we're buying, that it's what the community wants, it's something that we can afford, and that the utilization, this is our youth sports association, the private association, is merged with Riverside. Is Riverside going to contribute to this? Is Del Riv going to pay for this or contribute to the cost? You mentioned a fee structure for usage. These are all things that should have happened a long time ago before we got to this point, so we can make an intelligent, valid decision for the community. There's been some information, social media, and it's disappointing that trying to do a good job up here, you get pilloried over it. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to be the bureaucrat. I'm here to look out for your tax dollars. If that's what the community wants, we'll do the best job we can to get the right people to put it in. But damn it, let's be smart about this.
Are you done? Can we reply?
Yeah, you can reply.
Mr. Templeton, do you have another plan for the $250,000?
It's,
You have a different idea
specific
for
for the
something?
Creek Road Field Improvements Grant.
Right.
And that's what the senator picked. And what were the other items on there?
Well, there's $180,000 in Green Acres debt we could pay off. There's a parking lot to go on the softball field.
It's for improvements. It's for
Right.
improvements.
Okay?
But we specifically put field lighting, and the figure for, I guess it was 750,000 came.
Who's we?
We did it at a budget meeting.
No, we
The
didn't.
750, yes, we did. We did it at a budget meeting. I don't know, maybe.
Not in the email with Senator Singleton.
In the email to Senator Singleton, it said 750,000, because we estimated 750 to light
For
three
three
fields,
fields.
for three fields.
750 was requested, and the senator got 250.
Right. But that was only one of the items on the list. He picked that item. We didn't pick it, he did. And if anyone would like to address this issue, if you're here tonight regarding the lighting the fields, this was discussed years ago. We applied for a grant, for the municipal grant with Burlington County to light the fields. Phil, if you recall? And we did get the grant from Burlington County minus $149,000 at that time, what it would cost to light the field. And they indicated that they would not pay for lighting for the field. They would do other work, so they did some work for our riverfront park. We couldn't do the gazebo yet down there because we were waiting to have the seawall repaired. But we had applied for lighting before, so it was an issue that was discussed before. Maybe you weren't on the township committee at that time, but I have been involved with rec for over 40 years, and I've been DICE's liaison ever since DICE is separated from the rec program for all those years, Carolyn this year took that position from me, so that's another 30-some years. And it has always been on their wish list, and we have an opportunity to do it, and the estimate that came in is from the one contractor that usually does all the fields. So they're experienced, they gave Harry that information, and anybody want to say anything about it from the public? Joanne? Go ahead, Joanne.
Joanne, 9316 Oakford Avenue. For clarification purposes, this went out to all municipalities within his district, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a wish list. Was there any other dialogue from the township committee about where those either 8 or 12 areas, that wish list, what was a priority?
Richard emailed all of us and said, do you have anything you want to add to this? We have to put it together. We had like 2 days, I think, Richard, right?
It was like
It was like
4,
3 or 4,
or 4.
or whatever.
Yeah.
That was-
So,
No, there was not.
the township committee had an opportunity to send him the information, and from what we supplied Richard with, he sent the required information to the senator.
And not in a ranking order, just, so it was just,
I'll read it to you if you want. Senator Singleton asked that he reached out to the LD7 mayors to request 3 to 5 small mid-budget priorities for your town for his review. We'd like to compile a list of these local priorities needs for consideration, although there's no guarantee they will get included in the final budget. Please include the name of the project, a brief 2 to 3 sentence description, and the amount requested. This email was sent on February 17th, and it was due by February 24th, so we had a week.
so then, when he decided what he chose, was there ever an opportunity of this body to disagree with that choice?
No.
So it's not a township committee drive, it's Senator Singleton's drive.
Exactly.
So then my last question, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask, of the other municipalities, was there anything that he wished to fund from those municipalities that are a current project or debt service?
I actually have a short list.
And also, yeah, that's fine. Thank you
Let
so
me
much.
speak closer to the mic. Some other things that the senator included, $250,000 for Edgewater Park for Kite Field for upgrades to their concession stand, backstop, and fencing. There got to be some concession stand. $500,000 for Bordentown Township Senior Center improvements. $115,000 to Delran for security upgrades to the municipal building. $2 million to Willingboro for their senior center, and $250,000 to Beverly for adding additional police vehicles and upgrading their video systems in their fleet. That's just a short list of things I had. There's plenty others.
This is page 49 from the state budget where the Delanco grant is listed. Some of the other towns, Hamilton Lake Park improvements, $200,000. Community Center in Pensauken, $3 million. Borough of Prospect Park operating aid, $500,000. Camden County property acquisition, $5 million. Let's see. Morristown recreational improvements, $500,000. Borough of Haddonfield Police Headquarters, $5 million. Chief, where were you on this? Township of Livingston, complex, other complex, Ochner complex field improvements, 1.5 million. So anyway, it's kind of cats and dogs, you know, but this was statewide.
Thank you so much.
Jill?
Phil McFadden for 10 Maple Ave, Delanco. And I'm not sure what the issue is with why you're disagreeing.
I'm disagreeing on the process. I said 4 times.
Well, whatever process you guys came up with, that's what.
Well, that's the thing.
not on
We
me.
didn't come up with it.
Well, then what's the problem?
Senator Singleton came up with the process.
He had
Okay.
enough prior.
We both have to watch our blood pressure bill, Phil, so take
Come
care.
out to the field. We had the discussion, we took a check, while you stood all the way over against
Okay.
the far corner leaning up against, I know it's apples to peaches.
Yeah, doesn't mean.
We go through this all the time when I question you.
Yeah.
We have been going for lights for how many years?
Okay, I
How
look
many
through-
years?
I look through my files, sometimes it's on the map, sometimes it's off, sometimes it's on
It
the
was
document.
designed
It's on
when
and off.
Scott
Okay.
Taylor came in to
Right.
present his
Okay.
plan.
Okay, here we are up
Can
to
you
a
let
point.
him talk, Mike?
I mean, here we are.
Excuse me,
here we
he
are
has
up-
the floor, Mike.
Here we are up to a
Let
point
him
to
talk.
make a decision when you, Breck, you should have been up here making, going over all the numbers. These are the people that use it, this is what it's gonna cost, this is what it's gonna
And
cost
what
to
do you think we've
maintain.
done, Mike? Do you think we just sit there as a volunteer and do nothing? We charge fees.
Yeah,
We are increasing the fees once the lights go in.
yeah,
Once we can figure out what the cost of the lights are, they'll be passed on to the users.
Mhm.
It's not gonna affect the taxpayers. It's coming out of fees for field usage, and which we currently use now. And we can't spend that on any other thing except for improvements of facilities. And that covers all the facilities. So, I don't understand, I just don't get why this is a major issue for something that the Recreation Commission, the Sports Association has been going for the last, I would say, 12, 13 years, if not more.
it'd be nice to hear about this before we get to a decision point.
We've been down this road, there's been discussions on this numerous times. We submitted for grants before.
I know, but you never
You never cared because, you know what, Mike? It just seems to the fact that you just hate children, is what it comes down to. And that's the God's honest truth.
So you gotta play that card. I'm really disappointed, Phil,
I'm not,
really disappointed.
because I sit back here and I listen to your spiel all the time.
Very disappointed.
That's fine. I'm glad you are. I hope maybe you start listening soon.
Anyone else? Jen?
Hi, I'm Dr. Boycine, 306 Magnolia Lane. I'm just curious about the dissension about it because we have been talking about these fields now for, I guess it is about 12 years.
It's, yeah,
Jen, could you tell us your history?
it's actually longer than that.
It is. I know my son was playing then, when the fields were first in. I was a secretary on the DICA board, and we were constantly debating between softball fields and lights and soccer fields. And then when we finally did make a decision that they were gonna go into the soccer, or I think it was a softball field instead, that we were gonna put it in for the next round. And as Kate mentioned earlier, that round unfortunately didn't happen because they wouldn't allow the additional fees for the lights.
Sure.
So this has been going on for a long time, there's been a lot of talk about it. There's been a lot of research about it from a lot of different organizations. So it sounds like from you guys up there, as well as through HISA, Rec Commission. So I'm confused as to why you believe there was no communication about or research.
In the 17 years I've been here, I've never heard of any presentation validating lights on the field. I've seen it on the maps, I've seen it on the grant request.
There were DICE
But-
meetings with township committee. So, there were meetings there, we had meetings here, meetings in the back rooms over there somewhere.
Okay, but not at a regular, our meetings.
I reported, as the liaison, I reported on all the meetings that I attended and what was discussed. I mean, I do report.
Yeah, and I was actually here when I was
That's
gone.
And-
20 years ago.
Yeah.
But this process, this thing kind of came out of nowhere as far as the request from Singleton's office and put up to listed as item numeral one.
I don't know why you keep saying it came out of nowhere. It was in our capital budget. It was approved in our capital budget. So when Richard said, do you guys have any ideas? And we sent back our ideas, it wasn't like priority 1, priority 2. He literally just sent 5 or 6 ideas back. Do you have that email, by the
Do you
way?
have the letter that Richard sent?
So it might have came out of nowhere because when I got on township committee, it was something that I was for, so I brought it up and Matt and Kate agreed, so we moved forward with it because we have a majority, so that is something that was passed. Whether you agreed with it or not, we moved forward with it in our capital budget. Fields are dark, we need lights. I don't know what kind of study you want. We have the estimate, our engineers provided information, let's move forward. It just seems like a very simple concept that we're making way more difficult than it needs to be. The organizations are going to pay for it, the taxpayers are not.
Thank you, Jen. Anyone else?
Mike McNeil, 726 Pennsylvania Avenue. Just to go back to the initial first principles here, this is a grant, right?
Right.
So this is money from the state
Right.
that Delanco and its taxpayers do not have to pay that.
Correct.
Right.
We don't have to match it, we don't have to contribute to it, is free and clear.
Right. So, so I guess the question then, right, is whether we're going to accept this free money or turn it away, right? Is that, in essence, the question before this body? And does it require a unanimous vote of this body in order to accept that? Just out of curiosity.
Just majority.
Just like any other.
Just majority.
Okay. So the procedure, I mean, is there any hang up, like, to just proceeding? I mean, despite the...
No, I can't see any. I can't see a reason not to proceed with this grant because this is,
That's like,
it's a gift. And the senator thought of it as a gift because he's been to our fields, he likes our fields, his daughter played there, and he understands the lighting issue, that they can't use the portable lights. And he actually made those comments to our township committee members. So, I mean, I'm grateful that he did award us some funds. If he would have chose another one of those items, I would have been just as grateful and as happy.
Absolutely.
It would not have turned it down or made a big deal because this one got chosen over that one. We just put together a list in a short period of time and sent it to him. And
Matt has the list up here.
This is what Richard emailed to Jen Ardagian, Troy's chief of staff. Jen, our list of items that state funding would allow us to move forward on projects is as follows, and attached are the project descriptions. Field lighting at Field of Dreams soccer fields on Creek Road, estimated $750,000. Improvements to Gateway Park on Burlington Avenue at Rancocas Ave, $50,000. Improvements to Zerberg Waterfront Park after the seawall is completed along Delaware Avenue to include a gazebo, estimated $200,000. Purchase a new street sweeper to share with Beverly City to comply with the new state stormwater regs, $300,000. An upgrade to the Public Works Yard, including paving, construction of a pole barn to shelter equipment, and replace the old fueling system, including fuel spill containment to support shared service fueling of area local government organizations, estimated $650,000. Please let us know if this is what you feel could request funding to benefit Delanco, and if you need anything further. Please note that this list was compiled by Mayor Fitzpatrick and me and has not been formally reviewed, discussed, or approved by the full governing body. There was not enough time between your request and the submission deadline to deal with it at a meeting. Agreeing to proceed with any funded project will depend on that required public discussion agreement process. That was on February 23rd, and then
It was in August, I think. we found out.
May 18th, Jen sent an email saying Senator will be submitting the Field of Dreams as one of his budget resolution requests. While there's no guarantee that it will make it to the budget, we want to let you know this is one of his priority. Please send me a one-paragraph summary of the scope of the project and why it's needed. I need this by tomorrow. And then June 29th, she sent an email that he was able to secure the $250 in the budget that the legislature is voting on tomorrow.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, to your point of whether we take it or give it back, and recognizing there's some school board members in the audience, such as yourself and others, that would be like you applied for a $250,000 grant that doesn't require any matching for smart boards, 100 smart boards for each of the classrooms, and you saying, nah, never mind.
Because something else might be more important. Yes, something else might be more important, but we didn't choose it. The senator chose it, so we have to move forward with it.
Right. And then we've received an estimate, right, that falls in line with the grant?
Yes.
For Musco lighting, and Musco does 90% of the sports fields.
Right. I mean, you know, respectfully, this just seems like we're making mountains out of molehills here. And, you know, it just seems like a no-brainer. I understand being forward-thinking, looking ahead, planning, but I mean, when somebody's like offering you that amount of cash, right? No strings attached, essentially. I mean, and it could have such a benefit. You know, the comment earlier about the benefits that it can have for children with social issues and stuff. I mean, it can only be, and I think it would be reckless for this body to not move forward and accept those funds.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. So do we need a motion to approve this?
Eric wants to talk.
Oh, Eric wants to talk.
Yeah, what would it be if all three of us didn't talk?
Eric, there's an Eagles game on tonight.
Name and address for the record, Eric.
Eric Moss, up 837 Lawrence. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Trying to collect my thoughts here. I'm apologizing for being late. I was at my son's pizza party for his flag football team. So, family always comes first with me. There seems to be a common theme when it comes to grants, when it comes to money from the state, whether you're in education like me and a couple of people in this audience, or whether you're on the township committee like all of you in these seats. That common theme, unfortunately for both entities, seems to be that they give you this opportunity, but they handcuff you on the amount of time and or restrictions that you may have to get or procure this money. Think about when the state came out with that high-impact tutoring grant for education. If you read through that, there is a significant amount of red tape within there. It really precludes some smaller districts, which we discussed in our meetings, and of course I'm speaking as myself and not as a member of the Board of Education. Other people are here. But in this case, by Senator Singleton, it seems that you guys were given a handful of things, maybe let's just call it, right? There also seemed to be a common theme of what Senator Singleton approved. I believe it was Mr. Bartlett that was reading out all of the different programs, and it seems to be that they were all either for kids or seniors and recreation based. From what I heard some things from statewide that Mr. Templeton said that also, frankly, for the majority of it, seemed to be children or senior based and also recreation based. I will say that $2 million for Willingboro does not seem to be a mid-level budget project to me, but that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is we seem to have no control over what Senator Singleton did. My question is whether or not, if any other project on your wish list, and I'm sorry, but I didn't get a chance to really fathom what else was on your wish list. There was a pole barn mentioned. If any other one of those got picked, would we be up here disagreeing with the process, or would we be up here analyzing that process? Would we be saying, let's apply for this money and get this money and apply it to the best use that we see possible, with what the senators see possible? That's it.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Anyone else?
Your answer, Eric, is that if it was any other item on the list, it became set match, we'd do it, because we've talked about that. We've discussed the pros and cons. We've gone through the numbers as well as we can. Yeah, game, set, match, done. All in favor, say aye. But the process here. Like I said, we've kind of done this backwards. I just wanted to point that out to the public and the taxpayers.
Okay, so right now I'm ready to take a motion to approve Resolution 2023-132, resolution authorizing and endorsing an application to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs for the, I guess it's fiscal year 2024 Creek Road Field Improvements Grant.
So moved.
So Matt and Carolyn, second. Roll call, please, Janice.
Mr. Bartlett?
Yes.
Ms. Suits?
Yes.
Mr. Templeton?
Yes, to accept the Township of Delanco Creek Road Field Improvement Grant from the state of New Jersey. Thank you, Senator Singleton.
Mrs. Patrick?
Yes. Okay, so, I don't see that we have a need for executive session. Does anyone have anything else to bring before the Township Committee tonight? Because I think the Eagles are on.
Thank you. You too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Joanne. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Remember, defrost your turkeys
All in
if you haven't yet.
favor? All in favor?
Aye.
And not in a deep fryer.
Any more eyes?
Mary saw those pictures, they showed the frozen one of those things, exploded, needed the fire company.
Yeah, on behalf of Delanco Fire Company, please do not put a frozen turkey in your deep fryer on Thanksgiving.
Very good, I like that, that's even better.
Me and Rob want to eat turkey.